Or Madam Vice Chair.
You are still an alternate, so we need to put you on.
They're both alternates.
You need all,
Oh, you're
both
both
of us,
alternates.
yeah.
Okay. So used to y'all being here. Good evening, and a call to order the Zoning Board of Adjustment for the town of Londonderry, June 19th, 2024. My name is Suzanne Brunello. I'll be the acting chair this evening. We'll just do some quick introductions if we could. Start with Nick.
My name is Nick Codner, I'm building inspector and zoning administrator.
Kelly Karen, Assistant Town Manager.
Brennan O'Brien, voting member.
And Suzanne Brunel, voting member.
Mitch Feig, voting member.
Chris Moore, alternate member.
Bob Robichek, alternate member.
Okay, just gonna run through a little housekeeping here. I don't have any notes, so I'll wing it. If you could just turn your cell phones off or put them to vibrate so we're not listening to them. The way this will work is we will ask the applicant to come up to the table here. You can sit. We'll ask you to present your petition. The questions will come to the board. We'll ask our questions. We'll go out to the crowd to see if there's anyone speaking in favor or against. If you are going to stand at the podium and have a question, we ask that you direct it to the board, not to the petitioner. All conversations should be between whoever's speaking and the board. We'll ask you to state your name and your address. We will, in most cases, make a finding this evening and vote. You are welcome to stay for that, or you can call the office at the town to get the decision tomorrow if you don't feel like waiting. And I think I got all of that. We do need to make a motion to appoint Chris and Robert as voting members this evening, so if I could get a motion?
Motion to approve Chris and Robert as voting members this evening.
Like to make a second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you,
Can
gentlemen.
you figure out whose car is going bananas?
I do not know whose car is going bananas.
I'll take a look.
Take a look out the window. Oh, at the end? Gray? Anybody have a gray car that,
It's a gray sedan parked close to the building, as far down that side as you can go. So I don't know whose car that is.
looks like nobody in the room?
Unfortunately. Okay, draft minutes. I was not at the last meeting.
I was not either.
I'll make a motion to approve those minutes.
I'll second.
Anybody have any
Second.
questions, comments,
You can second.
corrections? No?
No.
Okay.
Seem fine.
I'm sorry. You made the motion to
Yes,
approve? You
definitely.
Seconded.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, I'm
I
abstaining.
abstain as well.
Okay, thank you. I already am aware that there is no report from the town council liaison. So regional impact determinations.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The cases before you this evening are not of regional impact.
Okay. Make a motion. May I have a motion to,
I'd like to make a motion to accept the regional impact determination.
I'd like to second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Okay. I guess we'll get started with the first case.
Case number 619-2024-1, a request for a variance from LZO section 4.2.1.3.b to allow a lot without 150 feet of road frontage on a class 5 or better road. The parcel is located on Mushquash Meadow Road off of Lund Street in the AR1 zoning district, tax map 8, lot 12, Londonderry Fish and Game Club, Inc., owner and applicant.
Good evening.
Good evening, Madam Chairman, members of the board. My name is Patricia Panciaco, and I'm here on behalf of Londonderry Fish and Game Club, who is the owner of the property we're talking about this evening. First of all, we have both the first and second applications, and I wondered if it would be appropriate to provide an overview of the facts which apply to both applications all at once?
That's fine. Unfortunately, well, the way we do it here is we run through each packet separately. So happy to listen to your overview, and obviously we will carry that over to the next one, but we do need to have you run through the 5 criteria for each application.
That would be fine. I assumed that much.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so with me here tonight, I have Rick Olson, who is the president of the club. Rick has been with the club for many, many years. The club is a nonprofit corporation. It was come together in about 1951. It's been occupying these properties and doing basically what it's been doing. The club presently has a membership of approximately 1,800 members. Its focus is on the education and appreciation of the natural environment. It promotes conservation, teaches about camping, runs a lot of classes about how to handle firearms, wildlife appreciation, and routinely the site is also used by local law enforcement and law enforcement that isn't even from this area for practice and training sessions. The club owns two tracts of land. It's tax map 8, lot 12, which has 31 acres, and lot 13 has 49 acres. This particular application is primarily about lot 12. Both are zoned AR1. Now, on the board up there, you can see that the property is accessed from the town of Litchfield. At the bottom, with just the outline, is a right-of-way that's 50 feet wide. The colored green area is paved up to right at the line that's going directly across. Then as it switches to the right, becomes a gravel road, but maintains its width into the site. The boundary of the property is outlined in blue. As where that green, the solid green is, it goes through the New England Power easement, where the club has been granted express easement rights into its property. This is why it has no legal frontage. And it has never had legal frontage as long as these parcels have been there. And for that reason, it's also considered a pre-existing non-conforming lot. Otherwise, as to size, it would easily conform with your AR1 district requirements. To the north of the property, there is a parcel owned by Continental Paving. To the east, town of Londonderry, which extends down and wraps around the southerly boundary of the property. And it wraps around over to the west, where you see a small parcel owned by the state of New Hampshire. On the westerly boundary, you have this power easement. Beyond the power easement is a residential neighborhood that was laid out by the town of Litchfield in 1999. That's on the opposite side of the power easement. Both parcels were acquired in fee by the club in 1974 from a relative of a member. But the property was used by the club since early 1950s in the same manner it's being used today. There is one Quonset hut on the site used for storage and a couple of structures where target shooting is taught by instructors that are certified to teach that skill. In 2014, the town planning board approved the installation of those shooting ranges with a site plan approval. In 2021, the planning board approved a site plan showing a 5,000 square foot clubhouse, which has since been reduced to 3,000 square feet. And that is the reason why we're here tonight. During both processes, no questions about the zoning of the property and how it was being used ever came up. And it was largely probably because it's been there for so long. So when the club went to get the building permit for the clubhouse, that's when it came up. So the two issues that have been raised are the lack of Class 5 frontage, as well as whether or not the clubhouse being built on this site is an illegal expansion of a non-conforming use. So, on Exhibit 1, which I believe is this one, I can't see the exhibit number, you can see the right-of-way. Then we have, the next one, I believe, is an easement.
So,
Exhibit,
in our packet, the
you
easement is
have
exhibit one,
those.
but
That's
we're
not,
following. Yep.
we don't need to go into that. There's also a picture as Exhibit B that shows a rendering of the clubhouse that they're hoping to build. And Exhibit 3 shows the clubhouse. This is the 2021 site plan. It shows it on Lot 12, right there, with a gravel parking lot. If you look to the left, you can see the little stub of green where the right-of-way comes into the property. So, that gives you a general background of the facts that are involved here. These are two large parcels of land. Together, they comprise 80 acres of land. They're really tucked in the corner, and they don't have any access from Londonderry. The only access is through Litchfield. And, I mean, I told Rick today, I lived in Londonderry for 20 years, and I never knew it was there. So I suspect that's the case with a lot of people. It does a lot of work with the public. It sponsors public events from time to time. It's got a very strong and dedicated membership, many of whom are here this evening. So with that said, if I can answer any questions, I have Rick here with me, and I have the information about the property. We're happy to answer them, but other than that, I can take you through the criteria for the frontage variance to start, if you'd like.
I do have a question.
Yes.
So this easement deed is dated 2009. So how did you get access to the property prior to actually having the easement?
I'm going to let Rick answer
Okay.
that question, Madam Chairman, because I believe he was more involved in that than I was.
Yeah, my name is Rick Olson. I live at 1165 Silly Road, Manchester. I'm the president of Londonderry Fish and Game Club, and off and on, I've been the president for the last 20 years. Back when I was in high school, we used to access Alexander Road. We used to come right across, but then the beavers dammed everything up and put everything underwater. And at the time, we had a kind of laissez-faire leadership that didn't press our access, so that ended up being a swamp. We made a deal with the Lorden family for the parcel, what is now Litchfield Sand and Gravel, and Hidden Creek Country Club and Golf Course. So that's the way we came in through that area as an alternate, and the Lordens were great about that.
But-
Rick Charbonneau purchased those properties in 1984, and our club leadership weren't very nice to him, and so we've been kind of warring back and forth. And then in 2007, he completely blocked our access. We went to court, the judge ordered access, and we cut a deal for the access we have now, and that's what you're looking at.
Okay. So prior to that, there was nothing in writing, you just, everyone was in agreement about,
Well,
It was
Providing access.
permissive,
yeah.
yes.
The town of Londonderry had a informal written agreement between the club and the Lordens family, but they had a fire and miraculously they can't find them, so.
okay,
There-
just trying to understand. I'm aware of where you are. 'Cause I was golfing this morning, so I can hear you guys,
Okay, yeah.
so.
But, just to put a finer point on it, even though we had a lawsuit with Rick Charbonneau, that turned around, he became one of our biggest allies in getting that access, and without him, we couldn't have gotten it,
Okay,
so
thank you.
I think that's appropriate to be said.
Okay. I don't know if anybody has some preliminary questions before she, okay.
I did have one actually. The road in Litchfield that you're using currently to access the property, is that considered a Class 5 road? Or is it also, is it not enough frontage and also not a Class 5 road?
Lund Road is a Class 5 road.
Okay.
And there are a lot of houses that have frontage on Lund Road. It's part of the Sawmill Brook Estates plan. It's a pretty big development, and it was laid out in 1999. There is a 50-foot right-of-way that comes off of Lund and then gets into the power easement area that we saw on the earlier diagram. So it's not a Class 5 road coming in.
The portion that basically is split off of Lund Road is not considered class 5, is that correct?
No, not that I'm aware of. It is paved, though. It's paved all the way up until you get the switchback to go into the club's property.
Okay.
It's technically a driveway for the switch yard up there that National Grid operates. There's a switch yard up there for transmission lines and,
So do they go through your property to get to that?
No.
well, sometimes they do, but that's their switch yard and they gave us an easement to pass.
To the north?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
And Lund Road is entirely in Litchfield.
Yes, it
Okay.
is.
Anybody else questions before she?
I'm okay for now.
I'm
Thank you.
good.
Okay,
Okay.
counsel?
So I can read right from the application, or I can paraphrase, whatever you would prefer.
Paraphrasing is fine.
Okay, fine. So, first prong is the variance being granted would not be contrary to the public interest. Allowing this property to be accessed over this easement that we were just discussing would not be contrary to the public interest because it is access, and it will not violate the basic zoning objectives. In the AR district, the basic zoning objectives are designed to permit the uses that are compatible with and protective of certain areas that have been and are being developed for agriculture, forestry, water quality preservation, residential use, and public use. As I mentioned, in addition to doing the training they do have public events at the club. And the area is heavily forested for the most part, except for the areas where the activities do take place. So allowing access in here, even though it is zoned AR1 for the purposes we've described, would not be contrary to the public interest, nor would it change the essential character of the neighborhood or threaten the health, safety, or general welfare of the public. This is a very controlled environment. You don't see people go out there shooting guns that don't know how to use them. When it happens, it is by trained individuals, and it's usually part of a training exercise or some sort of event that people are participating in. Here, the existing 50-foot right-of-way is commensurate with the standards applied to new roads in the town, being 50 feet wide, and its use will not present a threat to the health, safety, and welfare. And because the property is bounded on all sides by conservation or undeveloped land, it won't change the character of the area. The spirit of the ordinance is observed. When you look at the spirit of the ordinance, you look at the purpose of the ordinance. And typically, frontage is required to ensure proper spacing between lots or houses that are on lots, or to accommodate safe emergency access. Here, we don't have homes adjacent to these lots. These lots are, for the most part, vacant land. And there is no need for proper spacing because the lots are so large. Because this access is 50 feet wide, it easily accommodates emergency vehicles if they're ever required. So it would not be contrary to the spirit and intent of this ordinance to allow the access as it already exists to comply with the variance. Substantial justice would be done by granting this variance because the loss to the applicant of not having this approved would be pretty grave. And for it to be substantially just, the loss to the applicant may not be more than the benefit to the public. I quite frankly can't think of a single way the public would benefit by not allowing this access to remain as it is today. And for that reason, I believe granting the relief for the frontage would be just. The values of the surrounding properties will not be diminished. Again, we're abutted on all sides by conservation land, undeveloped land. And it's been that way for a very long time. Many of these parcels are restricted by conservation deeds. And for that reason, it's hard to understand how there could be any diminution of those parcels by allowing this property to be accessed as shown on the plans provided. Literal enforcement of the provisions of the ordinance would result in an unnecessary hardship. As a baseline matter, to show hardship, you have to point out the special conditions of this property that are unlike other properties in the area. Tax Lot 8-12 is surrounded on 3 sides by conservation land, and on the 4th side by the New England Power easement. This is relatively unique. While the other parcels are definitely undeveloped, as this one is. This is being used for a nonprofit purpose, recreation, as well as public events. That makes it a little bit different, but the special conditions nonetheless exist. The frontage requirement of 4213B is directed towards ensuring proper spacing and safe and reasonable access by emergency vehicles. And the existing 50-foot right-of-way amply accommodates both and provides reasonable access due to its width. And there is really no fair and substantial relationship between the literal enforcement of this requirement of the 150 feet of frontage as to this property as meeting the purpose of the restriction itself, being safe access. The proposed use is a reasonable use for all the reasons previously explained. The club does some really awesome things, appreciates nature around it, spends lots of time educating people, and it's been that way for 73 years. If it wasn't reasonable, I don't think it would still be there. So, with that said, I'm done with the frontage one. The only other matter to touch upon probably is the criteria as to the non-conforming use.
Well, we're going to hold off on that because we need to go through a voting process here on this one, and then
Yes.
we'll go to the next one. Okay, questions?
I don't have any. I mean, this is an unusual property. They're not changing the access regardless of the width it is now. 50 feet is reasonable as an access. They're not changing it. It is truly unique, so I don't really have any questions.
Chris?
On the actual drive up, is that 2 lanes or is it capable of fitting emergency vehicles?
I would believe at 50 feet, it would more than accommodate cars going in opposite directions, but to reconfirm, I'm going to ask Rick to speak to that because I haven't been out there.
The paved portion and the envelope on the sides, it is a tight squeeze, but one of the conditions that the town fire marshal put on us is it has to be accessible by emergency vehicles. And at this point, that lot is accessible.
Okay.
In fact, 4 years ago, when it was real dry, we had a fire. And Londonderry Fire Equipment was able to successfully get in and access the property without any problems.
Okay, thank you.
Good question.
I'm good for that.
Okay, so part of this property is located in Litchfield?
No, none of it.
None of it? Okay. I was just reading the easement while you were speaking, and it indicates that some of the property is in Litchfield and some is, but, okay.
So the easement is actually in Litchfield, but
Understood.
like referencing the map up there,
Okay.
The easement comes up to our property and then we cross into our property there.
When we are typically looking at properties on this level of road, we go through the process of having them execute an affidavit indemnification with regard to the emergency vehicles.
Typically, yes.
Okay. Are you aware of that? And it's something that we actually record?
I'm aware of them,
Okay,
yes.
and you have no problem with that?
No.
Okay. Brendan, you have any questions?
No, I don't.
With that, I'm going to take it out to the public. If anyone would like to speak in favor of the application, if you'd like to come up to the podium. Yep, just one at a time, just name and address, please.
This work here?
Yes.
Yes, my name is Rick Peterson. I live at 7 McIntosh Lane in Bedford, New Hampshire, and I've been a member of the Fish and Game Club, Londonderry Fish and Game Club, for 10 or 12 years. I'm also in a couple of nonprofit organizations that deal with children, disadvantaged children, and children that don't have a lot of opportunities. The nonprofits that I'm associated with through Kiwanis Club and the Webster House in Manchester often have fishing derbies on a nice pond that's on this land. We purchase fishing rods for the kids and bring in 30 or 40 kids. This is the first time they've ever had to bait a hook, and sometimes they won't, but the pond is stocked with small trout, and it gives a great opportunity for teaching the kids a little bit of the outdoors. I know we haven't got to the building part yet, but it would be pretty nice to have the opportunity to have a little more formal event serving hamburgers and hot dogs at the end of the day. And when they're done fishing, these young people all get to take their bobbers and hooks and fishing rods home with them. So it's really a wonderful place for young people that don't have a chance to get out and do those kinds of things. So thank you.
John Farrell, 4 Hancock Drive. I am here as a member of the town council. This project was brought to our attention. It became very clear to us that during our review of this is that when the plan was brought forward to the planning board and it was reviewed by staff and by our third-party engineer, they just flat out missed this. So it's unfortunate. The club, I'm familiar with. I'm not a member of the club. I've been out to the club. They have been good neighbors to us for the last 25 years that I have served. There's things they don't tell you. There's things they do in town and volunteer work that we never hear about that they do. When we have enforcement issues and everything along the grid, what I call the national grid line and along the power lines, they're the first ones that are out there because they are looking to do this and do it the right way and make sure that people are operating in a safe manner. I did overhear what you were saying about the fire department. Our road, we have roads in town that are 24 feet wide, and we have roads in town that are 28 feet wide. The 24-foot wide ones, we can get our trucks down. I believe that the club has, done a good job to make sure that the Londonderry Fire Department always has access. We would like to see you support this because we're trying to right a wrong, and would appreciate the ZBA support. So thank you very much.
Good evening, Chad Franz, Londonderry Town Council, 1 Sunflower Lane. I'm going to mimic a lot of the stuff that John Farrell had mentioned earlier, our fellow councilor, that we would like to see this be approved. Being a former heavy equipment operator in the Marine Corps, I'm very familiar with the height and width of heavy machinery. I've also observed that some of the heavy machinery to work on the ranges in the area has been brought up through tractor trailer truck, and that has not had any issues navigating through the roads. So in my non-firefighter opinion, I would like to think that a fire truck would be able to navigate safely through the roadway, meeting the intent. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
So, Sean Faber, Londonderry Town Council. I won't repeat what the previous two companions of mine have said, but I've been out to the property myself. I feel like the access is sufficient to get in and through there. I think the Londonderry Fish and Game Club has been a big asset to this community. They've done a ton of things here, so I also would like to see this go through. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, anyone else? Anyone not in favor of the application, like to come forward and speak? Okay, hearing none. Back to the board, questions? Okay. Anything else you want to add before we close?
I think I'm all set,
Okay,
Madam
thank you.
Chairman.
Okay. I'm just trying to locate the statute on the road.
674,
441.
441?
441?
Is that what the RSA or the town?
Yeah, the RSA,
Yeah, that's 674-41.
67441?
Yes.
Yep. And the town LZO is,
Either one on, just want to make sure we get it into the vote.
67441, it covers it.
yeah.
74.
Okay.
Okay, so a reference to that would be sufficient, and does the planning department take care of getting that, or, because normally it would go to the planning board, but I don't think that's where we're going.
Reference to the recording of a
Right.
affidavit. I think we can handle that directly through the council at this point.
Okay.
They've already got a site plan approval, so.
Okay, ready to go through the 5 points?
Granted, the variance would or would not be contrary to the public interest because, I would say it would not.
I agree.
I agree.
I agree. Because,
Granted, the variance, no threat to health, safety, general welfare. Spirit of the ordinance would not be observed because,
I believe it would.
I agree.
I agree.
I agree.
so that's the health, safety, and welfare.
Yeah, that's health, safety,
Yeah,
welfare
I'll
is general.
Can I
For
flip
the
them?
neighborhood, yeah.
Personal
Yep.
character in the neighborhood?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll flip none here then. Granted, the variance would or would not do substantial justice because,
It would, because the loss of it would exceed the benefit to the public.
I agree.
I agree with that.
Agreed.
For the following reasons, the values of the surrounding properties would or would not be diminished.
It would not be diminished. It's a unique property, and anything proposed on the road would not diminish the value of surrounding properties.
I
Agreed.
I would agree.
Owing to special conditions to the property that distinguish it from other properties in the area, denial of the variance would result in unnecessary hardship because there is or is not a fair and substantial relationship between the general public purpose of the ordinance provision and the specific application of that provision to the property because,
I believe there is not.
I agree.
I agree. There's no
Three
relationship.
sides of conservation land, and the
Right.
fourth side is the power company.
Utility easement.
Proposed use is or is not a reasonable one because?
It is reasonable referring to the road because we're only doing road now.
Yes, I was going to say, I will agree, but with what was noted here,
Right, just because the attorney has the clubhouse, but just,
getting ahead of ourselves.
we're doing the road, so, but
Right.
anyway, what I said still stands. Thank you.
Agreed.
Agreed.
Comments, restrictions?
Right, so we need to comply with the requirement 67441, is that correct?
Correct.
Which I discussed with council, they understand and they are agreeable to executing and recording that affidavit.
Okay.
You guys know what I'm talking about, right?
Yes.
With that, do I have a motion?
I'd like to make a motion in case number 619-2024-1 to grant the request for a variance from LZO section 4.2.1.3.b to allow a lot without 150 feet of road frontage on class 5 or better road with the restriction that there is compliance with RSA 674.41.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I just have your sheet so I can write.
Sure.
You want to read that one? Need the agenda? You want to read that?
Oh, the next one?
No, no.
Read
The
the
vote.
approved.
Okay. In case number 619-2024-1, the request for a variance from LZO section 4.2.1.3.b to allow a lot without 150 feet of road frontage on a class 5 or better road was granted with the condition that there be compliance with RSA 674.41.
Okay,
I'm down.
you're going to take this?
We ready for the next one?
Aye.
Yep.
Yep.
Case number 619-2024-2, request for a variance from LZO section 8.2.a.3 to allow the expansion of a non-conforming use clubhouse. The parcel is located on Mushquath Meadow Road off of Lund Street in the AR1 zoning district, tax map 8, lot 12, Londonderry Fishing Game Club, Inc., owner and applicant.
Okay.
When you're ready.
Okay, thank you, Madam Chairman. So on the screen up there, you can see a rendering of the proposed clubhouse to be built on Lot 8-12. And I believe the parking lot will not be paved.
No,
though,
it
right?
won't be paved.
It-
We got a waiver for that.
Right. It'll be a gravel parking lot. Another thing, and I just learned this tonight, as I understand it, the size of the clubhouse is only 3,000 square feet, not the 5,000 shown on the approved site plan. So to correct the record on that particular point. So unless the board has questions about the clubhouse, I'll just go through the 5 points.
I actually do have a quick question. It might be more for Nick. So this is, you're not expanding it?
Doesn't exist.
It's
It
a new
doesn't exist.
construction. Yeah.
So
Right.
just to be clear, this is 8.2.a.3 is for
It's for
expanded.
a variance to expand an existing non-conforming use. That's how.
The structure
the
doesn't
sec-
exist yet.
Correct. So we're adding the clubhouse.
So there's no
There is-
structure at all.
The use
No.
exists.
The use exists.
There is
A
a
Quonset
structure
hut.
on the property, a pole
Right.
barn.
Okay, so the structure exists, but it's being replaced.
No.
So there's a structure and another in 813. This one's gonna be built on 812. So the other structure is a Quonset hut. It doesn't have any electricity, running water, anything like that. This one's gonna have fire suppression, running water, electricity. It's gonna be an actual, like, building, not like a storage shed or, like what we have in existence. So we're adding another building to the parcel.
So
And
I,
this is
But it's
it.
on the other parcel?
It's on 812. The other one's on 813.
813 has a Quonset hut that
Right.
is used for storage of
On this
equipment.
property,
8-12 will have the new clubhouse. If you look at Exhibit 3, you can see a copy of the approved site plan from 2021. It actually shows it on the lot.
Yeah, it's right here.
I'm following
there
where
it
you're going,
is.
Chris, though, because I don't understand. So there's no building currently on the
This
parcel in
tax map.
question.
Correct.
Yet we're
812.
going with it being a prior non-conforming use? I don't get it.
right. Why are we approving a non-conforming use? Because there's no non-conforming use on this lot.
Is this variance necessary?
Which there isn't one, to your point, Chris.
It is a non-conforming use,
lot.
but it's not an existing
Existing
non-conforming use.
non-conforming.
The use of the parcel has been for the training and activities done by the club. And that's the non-conforming use because it is not permitted in the AR zone. It predates zoning being adopted
It's grandfather.
and it's grandfathered, correct.
So any
Board can
non,
decide as well how you want to proceed.
8.2A reads, any non-conforming uses of land or buildings may continue in their present use, except that any non-conforming use or building may not be.
use or building.
Expanded. So they're
So-
expanding the non-conforming use by putting a building on, I
Okay.
guess.
Is that,
Okay.
I don't know, it's just.
is that the idea behind
Yeah.
it?
That
Yes,
seems to be it, because I was confused about it
What else
as
could it
well.
be?
yes.
Normally, a prior non-conforming, there would be the building,
building,
and you would be
right.
expanding it.
It's
Okay.
not- never bumped into this before.
Okay, all right. I understand.
Okay.
Thank you.
We're-
Appreciate it. Yep.
we
All
got
right,
it.
okay. We've all
Appreciate
arrived.
the
Yeah, we got it.
clarification.
Okay, so the Quonset hut on the other side on lot 13 is just storage. This, as Rick has described, it'll be a code-compliant building with fire suppression, running water, bathrooms, I hope. So, and that's really the point. The purpose of the clubhouse is to provide a little shelter to the club's guests. And I'm sure you've all been out there in the summer when the sky's open in a thunderstorm. It's nice to have somewhere to go. And as one of the gentlemen had said, maybe have a hot dog or a hamburger on an event. So technically, the way I've looked at it is we're putting a roof over the existing user's head. The use itself, I don't view that as being expanded, it's just giving them some shelter. And that's the approach I've taken in going through the argument here. So what we're saying is that would not be contrary to the public interest because it'll provide a much-needed location for group education, business meetings, and shelter during inclement weather. It will not violate the ordinance basic objectives or alter the essential character of the neighborhood or threaten the health, safety, or general welfare of the public. Because it's a wooden structure, it will be built to code. It's really, if it was 5,000 feet, it might be bigger than a single-family home, which is permitted in the AR district, but it is only 3,000 square feet. And it won't be seen from other properties because it's tucked into this little corner on the other side of the power line, hidden from view. So for those reasons, we don't think it violates the basic objectives of the AR zone that I previously read to the board, nor will it be contrary to the public interest. The spirit of the ordinance is observed. When you look at the spirit of the ordinance and you're looking at the expansion of a non-conforming use, they are strictly construed and very narrowly because zoning is intended to extinguish non-conforming uses overall. But here, we're just providing shelter to an existing use in the middle of an 80-acre parcel when the two acreages are combined. The clubhouse is not proposed to expand the use, but to better accommodate the existing use of the land. Substantial justice would be done. Again, the loss to the landowner must not exceed the benefit to the public. We already know the public benefits from the club by its efforts and its reach out. In light of this fact, and that this was approved a couple of years ago, the site work has already begun, and we are hoping to be able to move this forward. But if there's a denial, this will leave the applicant in a very difficult position. So for that reason, we don't think the public would gain anything, and the applicant would stand to lose quite a bit, so granting the variance would be substantially just. The clubhouse will not diminish the surrounding property values. It won't be seen from any public way. It's tucked in the corner, and it's actually very nice looking. If you look at the rendering, it's going to be a nice supplement to the work that the club does. And I can't see how that would diminish the surrounding properties, which are conservation land and a power easement. The hardship prong, strict enforcement of the ordinance would impose an unnecessary hardship here. For all the reasons previously cited, this property is very unique, bounded on 3 sides by undeveloped land, tucked into the woods, accessed over a 50-foot wide easement. But it has been there for 73 years. And it's one of those little known jewels that people don't know is there. There is no fair and substantial relationship between the strict application or restrictions on expanding a non-conforming use as to this property that further the purpose of the ordinance, which is to amortize non-conforming uses. In fact, I would venture a guess that people don't want this gone. So for that reason, I do not think the purpose is furthered that is served by the restrictions on expansions of existing non-conforming uses. The use is reasonable. It's been there for 73+ years. It is a multi-generational club. It does a lot for the public, and it will do an even better job at what it already does if it's able to have a shelter on site to go to in inclement weather, a place to provide educational programs, and to further its other public purposes. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions from the board?
Yes. This is a question for Nick. What is this building technically classified as? When I look through the use table.
It's gonna be a meeting house for a membership club.
Okay. So membership club would be the.
Like a small assembly.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank
Small
you very
assembly.
much. I appreciate it. I'm good.
Okay.
I don't have any questions.
Take it out to the public. Anyone want to speak in support of this?
John Farrell, 4 Hancock Drive, here as a member of the town council. This went through all of our processes. The club conformed with all of our rules and regulations. We should have caught this beforehand. It should have come to you first. Again, we're trying to, right or wrong here. The one comment I will add in is that, while my golf game needs a lot of improvement, the gunfire may improve my golf game, based on the way I
Doesn't
swing.
hurt mine, so.
So, said, Rick and the club, they've been good neighbors and good people, and we've had a nice relationship with them. So we would look for your support. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Chad Franz, 1 Sunflower Lane, Londonderry Town Council. If you peruse on the club's website, they talk about a lot about gun safety, firearm safety, hunting safety training, and I think that's paramount as a need for the community. And I believe that a clubhouse of such or a facility as such would enable them to provide that service at a greater scope or greater scale. Again, as John's mentioned earlier, Councilor Farrell mentioned earlier, they have always been good stewards to the community, and we would like to have that right wrong. So thank you very much. That wrong right.
So Sean Faber, 73 Old Nashua Road. They do a lot of good events out here too as well. I think this is an asset to the community to have this building put on their property. I think it also rights, as my previous colleagues had said, some of the wrongs with this. So I encourage you to support this.
Thank you. Anyone else? Anyone want to speak in opposition to the application? Okay, seeing none. Back to the board. Any questions?
No
Anything you want to
questions.
add before we close?
No, thank you.
Okay, we'll close the public comment. We need to
Granting the
discuss-
variant, oh, sorry.
I'm just asking if we need to discuss anything before we start.
I'm okay.
Okay.
Granting
ready
the
to go.
variance would or would not be contrary to the public interest because
You would not be contrary to public interest. It doesn't affect the health and welfare
Does it alter
of the public. It doesn't alter the,
say general character of the
yeah, it
neighborhood.
doesn't alter the character.
I agree.
I think some facilities out there sound great, because I'm a little concerned that there's a lot of members out there
Yeah,
in the woods.
not necessarily shooting.
Not that.
Spirit of the ordinance would or would not be observed because, I'd say would, no threat to health,
Agreed.
safety.
Agreed.
welfare.
Agreed.
Granted the variance would or would not do substantial justice because. I'd
It
say
would because the loss to the petitioner would exceed the gain of the public,
Agreed.
Agreed.
I agree.
or the benefit to the public, excuse me.
For the following reasons, the values of surrounding properties would or would not be diminished. I'd say would not.
Agreed.
Agreed. I mean, this is a 80-acre
Right.
combined area. This building is 3,000 feet. You'll never see it.
Right.
So,
It's a nice looking building. Very nice.
Owing to special conditions of the property that distinguish it from other properties in the area, denial of the variance would result in unnecessary hardship because there is or is not a fair and substantial relationship between the general public purpose of the ordinance provision and the specific application of that provision to the property because.
And it's not
I agree.
yeah, I agree. There's
Agreed.
not.
uniqueness of this
Yeah.
particular parcel.
The proposed use is or is not a reasonable one because.
I would say it's reasonable.
Agreed.
Clubhouse is
In this
reasonable.
particular instance.
This is, makes sense.
Comments, restrictions.
Yeah, we got
think of
them.
any.
It's the same
Can't think of
lot,
any.
so.
Covered it in the last.
Motion?
I'd like to make a motion in case number 619-2024-2 to grant the request for a variance from LZO section 8.2.A.3 to allow the expansion of a non-conforming use clubhouse.
I'll second that.
Is that you, Richard? Oh, yeah. Robert, sorry.
It doesn't,
It does matter.
Richard,
sorry.
Robert, whatever.
Sorry.
No worries.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
In case number 619-2024-2, the request for a variance was granted without conditions.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Best wishes on the clubhouse.
You can take it.
I enjoyed seeing my favorite case of all cases always, which is the one exam. My favorite. Good old Stanley. You know, it's like,
We're having too much fun over there.
no, I'm saying one of my favorite things that we
I
always use
know,
is
I didn't
electronic
put
sign.
Chris's last name on there.
Electronic sign is the last case. We get about, one of those every month, basically.
Thank you.
Yes.
Oh, no.
That's what we were laughing
Keeping
about.
us organized, oh, I didn't. Okay.
Let me get back. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you. Let's get a recommendation from.
Do we not have our,
Yeah, where's our,
Call it.
doesn't look like our, no, he's from the town
Here?
council.
You want me to read it?
is
Read
is
the
Nick
next one.
presenting the garage?
I don't see the next
Right.
applicant here, so if you'd like to continue it. I have had several conversations with Mr. Spellman. But it's up to the board what you want to do.
Yeah, no, I
ultimately.
don't mind continuing it. Do we need?
You need a motion to do that?
we need a motion to do that?
I'll make a motion that we continue case 06/19/2024-3.
Lucky day.
Exact request for variance from LZO section 42.1.3.c.4 to allow encroachment of 30 feet into the 40-yard front setback, front right of back. I can't speak anymore. 40-foot right-of-way setback be continued until further notice, because we don't know,
July
right?
17th.
The next meeting,
July 17th.
July 17. Okay, we need a second.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Sorry.
Aye.
Very good.
All right,
You got there.
it's been a long day.
Apparently.
It really has.
All right.
I
been a long
recuse
week.
myself from this
Okay.
case. So I will,
So, you want to hand over?
this is the old, these are the other
Okay.
materials, and then this is just for this case.
Bear with us a moment while we shift around.
I had to go outside to warm up.
These are mine. Spellman's in here.
Let's see.
67, this is hers. Let me get that to her. Okay, somebody want to read the case in? You need them, okay. Yeah, okay.
Case number 06/19/2024-4, a request for variance from LZO section 7.7.e.3 to allow a changeable electronic message board sign. The parcel is located at 162 Rockingham Road in the mixed-use commercial zoning district. Tax map 15, lot 58.7, 58, 711 Inc., care of ECO VA MS 1937 owner, and Carolyn Parker applicant.
Good evening.
Hello.
Evening.
How are
As you
you?
are aware, just so I have it on the record, that there are only 4 of us, that you would need to carry 3 of the 4, and you're fine going forward.
Sure,
Very good.
right? Basically, they're just looking to remove the manual prices and install LED prices. The way that your bylaws, the section of the bylaws state changeable electronic message boards
Yes.
are prohibited, animated, moving, flashing, and noise-making signs are prohibited. This price sign will change 1 to 2 times a day, therefore it's not really animated, moving, flashing. I don't consider it an electronic reader board, because that would be something that would have messages that would change more frequently. It's basically just going to allow them not to have to go out and manually change the prices with a poll. They'll be able to change them within the store, and possibly they can change them from their corporate office sometimes. So would you like me to just go through my
Yes, please.
criteria?
Madam Chair, could you please just introduce yourself?
Oh,
for the
I
record?
apologize. Carolyn Parker, 3 Lorien Ave, Worcester, Massachusetts.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Carolyn, are you an attorney?
No,
Okay. Do we have a letter here authorizing you to represent them?
it should be.
We did receive that, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Oh, yeah, it's right there. Property owner authorization.
Okay, rock and roll.
The variance will not be contrary to the public interest. Granting the variance would not be contrary to the public interest because the signs in question are not the signs in which the ordinance intended to prohibit. Regarding electronic LED digits, these signs are simply price signs that would change periodically as the price of gas changes. In fact, they would change just as often as traditional manually changing price digits, only that they would have the ability to change remotely rather than manually. The proposed LED digits will differ from traditional digits only in their ability to automatically change rather than be manually changed. They would display static copy only. Transitions from one static image to the next would appear substantially instantaneous without the appearance of flashing, intermittent, rotating, or moving lights. The sign's intensity and illumination levels wouldn't noticeably change. In fact, the sign's illumination would not go blank like one would think of a flashing or intermittent sign. This prevents the appearance of inconsistent intensity, flashing, or intermittence. Generally, such signs and prices go unnoticed unless one is looking directly at the sign. The spirit of the ordinance would be observed. If the variance were granted, the spirit of the ordinance would be observed because the current use of gas station and convenience store is an allowed use in the mixed-use commercial zone. Manual changeable copy signs which are permitted within Londonderry require personnel to physically change their copy, often involving the use of a large pole or climbing a ladder to do so. In rainy, icy, or windy conditions, this can be a dangerous feat. The installation of an electronic LED sign reduces liability as they can be changed with a click of a button from inside a business. The ordinance states changeable electronic message boards, which can be 75% of the allowed sign square footage. A standard price sign for gas stations only has the LED digits change, unnoticed by the human eye, and they would change 1 to 2 times daily. We do not feel these signs are the same that the LED price signs would be within the spirit of the ordinance. Substantial justice is done. Granting the variance would do substantial justice because the LED price signs would have minimal impact to the site and surrounding properties based on their size and intensity. The LED price changes will help to improve both day and night visibility and will eliminate several safety concerns associated with manually changing the prices. Unlike manual changeable copy signs permitted by the ordinance, which require personnel to physically change the letters, electronic signs can be changed remotely from the safety of a computer. Electronic LED signs are also an aesthetic enhancement over manual changeable copy signs, where manual copy signs letters often become cracked, yellowed, or lost in a matter of months. Electronic LED signs will look new for many years to come. The value of the surrounding properties are not diminished. There would be no decrease in the value of the surrounding properties since the existing pylon sign is already in existence and is currently internally illuminated. The LED price changes do not increase the existing illumination level emitted by the pylon sign. The changeover to an LED price sign will not have any adverse impact on the surrounding properties, especially since we are in a commercial zone. We only wish to change the way in which the prices are displayed. Literal enforcement of the provision of the ordinance would result in an unnecessary hardship. For purposes of this subparagraph, unnecessary hardship means that owing to special conditions of the property that distinguish it from other properties in the area, no fair and substantial relationship exists between the general public purpose of the ordinance provision and the specific application of that provision. The proposed use is a reasonable one because the subject convenience store opened in 1980, 38 years ago. The Board of Adjustment has on several occasions over the intervening years reviewed 7-Eleven's plans to upgrade its facility and has granted special permits and variances for other site improvements. The subject variance does not conflict with the general public purpose of the zoning ordinance and continues to permit a reasonable use fuel price sign. The granting of the requested variance poses no adverse impact to the health, safety, and general welfare of the community. As indicated herein, relief is requested solely to provide for the substitution of the existing 3-foot 6 by 6-foot-1 fuel panel on an existing pylon sign structure. The proposed price sign offers the safety of being able to change a fuel prices remotely and offers a more aesthetically pleasing image. No dimensional relief is required and no other on-site changes are proposed. The use remains as existing, providing notice of fuel prices and has no adverse impact upon the site. I apologize for my wrong gas station in there. No one caught that. Seeing 'em-
Questions?
I have none.
Okay, the only concern I have, and if we've done prior variances, I guess this has been addressed, but I'm not gonna recall them. So unique on this property. I know that it's a busy spot. I know that the sign is for purposes of the gas station, but the statute does require that there be something different about this particular property so that you don't have to comply. What say you?
So which question?
So, number 5.
Yeah.
So, owing to the special conditions of the property that distinguish the other properties in the area.
I would have to apologize because I don't know the other
Okay.
things in the area.
We have a history on this one that we did prior variances.
I don't believe prior variances on this particular parcel, but as you'll recall, the gas station probably 5 lots up the street, same request, same.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I
That's
think
right.
that the nature of the request does allow in that 5th circumstance because the nature of the sign is different than the overall request or variance is trying to, the regulation is trying to prevent against.
So
I believe I did the Hess on the main road out there, which then became a Sunoco, and we got the LED.
Yeah, we had several of these
So
in the
the
past 12
defining
months.
factor in asking for a variance is that there's something unique about your property that you don't have to be in compliance. That's the whole purpose behind why you should get a variance.
Well, I feel that the variance we're requesting is not really part of what you do not allow in your bylaws as far as the flashing, animated moving flashing and noise making and changeable electronic message
You
board
gonna help me out here,
signs.
Or I'm gonna have to vote now.
What's the matter?
Doesn't matter, you guys can go down the way you want.
It is also surrounded by state property on three
Yeah, I mean,
sides.
the road itself is very, very busy road. I mean, 28 is a very busy road.
That doesn't get to the
But it doesn't
nature
take
of
into
the
consideration. I thought that we were looking to change our ordinance about this, talking about it in the past. No, that won't impact this case, but
Very slow. Okay, well,
Let's, yeah, because I don't see either. If there's no argument for
I
it.
mean, I have to agree, Madam Chair, that, while the request is reasonable, I don't see anything unusual about the property.
Come back.
And I can't remember what some of the other ones might have been, not that it's, that relevant, but,
is the sign right up front?
Yes.
yeah, it's
On
right
that
there.
little
That
grass
little-
strip.
You're right there.
Yeah, it's right there.
So,
Unlike other properties in this district, it is surrounded on 3 sides by state property.
okay.
As a note.
I mean, he has somewhat of a limited frontage. That's the other thing. It's a limited
It's-
frontage on a
it's
very
sufficient.
busy road.
It's sufficient though.
Say what?
The frontage is sufficient.
Yeah, it is sufficient. Well, if it isn't,
Yeah,
it's
so
not-
they-
Yeah, no, it's
Yeah,
not
you
as
have it.
non-conforming, but it's,
Yeah, so, and there's a tight area here from the exit to the business, so
Yep.
that the ability to see it and get the sign out there.
And then the person has to walk all the way from that store over there with a pole to do that every day. And you know the way the price of gas changes.
I think I can get there.
Okay.
All right. Questions, concerns?
Nope.
Gonna take it out. Anybody want to speak in favor of this application?
Come on. No.
Seeing
You help the other people now.
none,
You are from Mass, so I don't-
anybody to speak against the application? Seeing none. I'll take it back to the board. Do you want to add anything before we close?
You know, it's tough. It's a tough question, always.
It is a tough question
But-
always.
I feel that it's not strictly, like you say, a lot of people are going in and changing their bylaws because this is, you know, mainly for gas stations. It's a long time coming. I think it's the way that the world is moving. You know, not even gonna be able to get those little numbers pretty soon, you know? So I think the unique circumstance is the gas station, the location. The sign is very close to the roadway. It's a busy road, like you said, and it's a dangerous thing for them to have to.
The last thing I'll say is that no fair and substantial relationship exists between the general public purposes of the ordinance provision and the specific application of that provision to the property. Owing to special conditions of the property that distinguish it from other properties, it's a gas station. That is a distinguishing feature.
All right.
Versus like a car sales lot or
Yeah.
something else.
Something else in
A
the
flea market or whatever, yeah.
Okay. We ready?
I'm good.
Let's rock and roll, as you said.
All right. I've got a pen, by the way.
Okay, very good.
Granting the variance would or would not be contrary to the public interest because?
I believe it would not.
I agree.
Why?
I don't believe it changes the character of the neighborhood, Mitch.
I agree with you.
I would agree with that.
The spirit of the ordinance would or would not be observed because?
I think it would be because the use that's proposed, I mean, the variance that's proposed is a reasonable one for a convenience gas station.
It's actually helping the safety
Yeah, it is actually helping health and health safety, yes.
by allowing,
Especially if the employees, right? Not having to go out and,
Absolutely.
taking a job away, but
Maybe.
maybe. Somebody's gonna press the button,
Who would
change
want to go
them.
out there today and,
No, nobody wants to go out there today.
all right? Granting the variance would or would not do substantial justice, I would say it would, the benefit to the applicant.
Yeah, I would agree.
Any
I agree.
loss to the public. The following reasons, the values of the surrounding properties would or would not be diminished.
it would not be, the sign's existing and the lights are not flashing and.
And there's nobody
I
around.
don't see how that would in any way diminish surrounding property values. And it's surrounded by some state property as well.
I agree.
Okay. Here we go. Owing to special conditions of the property that distinguish it from other properties in the area, denial of the variance would result in unnecessary hardship because there is or is not a fair and substantial relationship between the general public purpose of the ordinance provision and the specific application of that provision to the property because.
In my opinion,
Go, Chris.
the fact that this is a gas station that very frequently needs to change its static signs makes it unique.
I'm gonna go with the property is located very close to the 93 exit, and as such, it's heavily traveled, and the sign is close to the road.
Very busy road.
I agree with all of that as well.
Okay.
I mean, I know exactly where this place is. I live like 5 minutes, we live 5 minutes away.
I've been there many times.
There we go.
Anything you want to add?
No, I'm trying to figure out if I got everything you said. I have property is located near 93, the sign is very close to the road. I could add that the property sort of dips in a bit. Like, it looks like it would be hard to see the property for the surrounding
Excellent.
properties.
Love it.
Okay.
The topography.
It's a lot. Proposed use is or is not a reasonable one because?
I believe it is.
I agree.
Why?
Believe that the
The nature of the business.
Yes, the-
Changeable.
nature of the business, the safety of the workers.
And again,
Makes
there's
it
a
reasonable.
currently a sign there that's exactly gonna remain the same size and height.
Mm-hmm.
So that's saying it's not changing really, other than the lights for the costs.
Are there any comments or restrictions?
I don't have any, but
I'm good.
I'm good. Do you want me to read this and not botch it this time?
Someone can make a motion?
I'll make a motion that case number 06/19/2024-4, request for variance from LZO section 7.7.E.3 to allow a changeable electronic message board sign be approved for the parcel located at 162 Rockingham Road in the mixed-use commercial district, zoning district. Do you want me to read the tax map too?
No, that's fine.
No, okay. Be approved.
Second?
I'll second.
Okay, you've been quiet tonight. All those in favor?
Aye.
One against? Granted. You want to do the final reading on
Okay. Case number, the motion, the request for variance in case number 06/19/2024-4, a request for variance from LZO section 7.7.E.3 to allow a changeable electronic message board sign. Parcels located at 162 Rockingham Road in the mixed-use commercial zoning district, tax map 15, lot 58711 Inc., care of ECOVA, MS 1937 owner, and Carolyn Parker applicant, is granted.
the. Thank you.
Thanks. Sorry, I'm on day 3 of hearings. I'm in Concord last night,
Been there.
Falmouth the night before.
Was there on
This is good.
Tuesday, actually. That was yesterday, actually.
I have 8 this month, so I'm a little-
This is a communication.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Just the last-
Thank you.
for your assistance.
Oh,
Thank you.
okay. Anything else before we entertain a motion to adjourn?
I will make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
I just had a question. I thought a few months ago, we have one of these every few.
Is that
Just,
okay?
we're still on the air, that's
Yep.
what he's saying too. Okay. Sorry, Jim.
I had a question about changing the ordinance eventually for the lit signs. That was my question. I know we discussed it in the past, and just wondering if that's in progress or,
We do have a running list of
Yes.
ordinance changes.
okay.
I have been on this board for I don't know how many years, and I keep asking for sign
And in
regulation
fact,
change.
to that question, we recently received a grant to essentially do a regulatory audit.
Nice.
And I'm
Great.
hoping that
The sign,
part of that process can include updating other portions of our regulations.
Yeah.
great.
That's awesome, yeah.
Will
It
we
seems
have
like-
feedback or input towards that regulatory audit?
We just tell them we're not gonna write it.
So there are specific tasks in the scope of work. However, if we were to do zoning amendments, we would likely reach out to both boards to go through that process.
Great.
That's awesome news. They just, for a while, we were getting one of these about every 2 months, and that's why I was asking.
All right.
Do we have a lot on the agenda, you know, for July? Or are we not past the close date yet?
I believe you'll have 3 with the including the continued one.
Okay, thank you.
Great,
All right.
thank you.